Hello lords and ladies, my name is Archaic King and welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. It's a brand new year, which means brand new cartoons to review and talk about. So this Sunday's episode was The Pharaoh, and I have to say it was probably one of my favorite episodes thus far. Not only do we get the coolest looking villain with a bag of visually interesting powers, but some more information on the miraculous and the Kwami, but we'll discuss that further into the review. For now, let's talk about the episode's plot. In this episode, we're introduced to Alex's older brother, who ends up being transformed into Pharaoh by Hawkmoth.
My precious Nefertiti will come back to life.
Seems like his entire family just attracts Hawkmoth, doesn't it? Well, the father hasn't been turned yet, but give it time. Give it time. If you recognize his voice actor, it's because it's none other than, I'm going to horribly mispronounce his last name, Vic Mignogna, or Mignogna, who also voiced Edward Elric of the anime Fullmetal Alchemist. Hard to believe, huh? And he gets a cool villain design, as I said above, along with some really sweet powers. Basically, as the Pharaoh, he can harness the power of the Egyptian gods. Thoth creates magical time bubbles that freeze people. Sekhmet gives him incredible strength. Anubis allows him to transform people to mummies. And finally, Horus gives him the ability of flight. Although, upon some research, technically the show seems to have taken some liberties with these Egyptian mythologies, as Thoth was the god of knowledge and writing, not time. Seems a little overpowered, doesn't he? This villain definitely needed the combined might of Ladybug and Cat Noir to defeat him. And along the way, we get something of an origin story for the Kwami that Marinette and Adrien use. As revealed later in the episode by Tiki, she and other Kwami are over 5,000 years old, and that there's always been a Ladybug, and likely a Cat Noir. This is a pretty awesome backstory, and more than a little bit reminded me of the Witchblade, that series. If you're not sure what that is, it's a comic book about a woman who uses an artifact known as the Witchblade that has been used by many women throughout history. So now you see why it reminds me of that. Back to the villain of the episode, though. While I absolutely dug the Pharaoh's appearance and powers, his human identity, Jalil, was just a teeny bit disappointing. I get that they were trying to contrast how he appeared with what he would look like when he's evilized, but the glasses were probably overkill, as they looked more like something my dad would have worn decades ago than something a young man would wear in modern times. However, if I wanted to give the writers credit, I'd say since he's in ancient history, and maybe more than a little like a hipster, maybe he wore them on purpose. Oh, and if you wondered why Marinette was dead set on getting her history book back, it's because she'd written her name in it, as you usually do with school textbooks. It wasn't mentioned in the dub, but it was in the sub version. It's weird that the dub would leave that out, as it kind of explains things if you weren't sure, but I guess they figured people would piece it together, because it's kind of obvious since you write your name in school textbooks. At least I did. So yeah, this was definitely my favorite episode of the series. Although I don't really hate any of the previous villains, although I do dislike one, this really gave us someone who could be considered a serious threat, as opposed to just sort of like suspending your disbelief that someone who created bubbles could harm anybody. And of course, it doesn't hurt that he looks really cool, right? He's awesome looking. We also got to see more of Marinette being challenged to keep her identity a secret from her best friend. If it goes like most superhero stories, Alia will figure it out or be told eventually. I think we are all mostly hoping that she figures out the secret for herself. It'd make for a great character moment where she could struggle with whether she should reveal Ladybug's identity on her blog or not. It can't go on for too much longer, as the longer it takes, the more dumb she appears. We can forgive her the first several times, because there is a thing where the human brain will try to rationalize away something, despite the truth staring them right in the face. It's how Lois Lane, or anyone else for that matter, can't figure out Clark Kent is Superman, because her brain goes all, nah, Clark is too clumsy to be Superman. It's a real thing, go look it up. Well, that wraps up my review. Before we end, I'm going to try something new. First off, as always, if I've glossed over something in the episode, you can let me know in the comments below. But if I ever miss something huge in relation to like the plot or the structure of the episode, and you'd like me to discuss that, I may start making like short additional bonus videos for those moments. It'll be an experiment for now. I don't think I've ever really missed anything in an episode that requires a second video though. But still. Either way, thanks for watching, and take care.